Some villager trades in Minecraft are definitely better than others, so learn in this video the 20 most overpowered trades that will get you valuable items and basically free emeralds. This video shows what I would rate to be the 20 best trades in the entire game, and the first one is the diamond armor trades of the armorer villager, with the ability to buy diamond leggings, diamond boots, diamond helmets, and even diamond chest plates. The value of this trade cannot be overlooked. This is truly overpowered. Having the ability to have this much diamond armor that easily really is crazy. Now of course, yes, it does cost a lot of emeralds, but if you consider the fact that these can all very easily be zombified down to 1 emerald for 1 piece of diamond armor, and of course 1 emerald can be obtained from something as easy as a pumpkin or a piece of stone, this basically makes these pieces of diamond armor completely free. But there's also another crazy aspect of this you might not notice until now, which is the fact that these boots literally have feather falling 4 on them, as well as protection 3. Moving from armor onto food, here's how you get the best food source in Minecraft, really simply with villagers. Just go to a farmer master villager, and you'll notice we have a trade here, 3 emeralds for 3 golden carrots. Kind of an interesting trade that it's not just 1 emerald for 1 golden carrot, but this enables us to discount that for 1 emerald to eventually turn into 3 golden carrots. Why are golden carrots the best food source? Well, they give us a high amount of saturation and they're stackable, and so because of this, when you eat this, you'll basically regenerate your health quicker than if you, let's say, ate steaks. And the one thing that makes people usually not use it is the high cost of gold and also the pain of having to craft them and grow carrots. But with the farmer villager, this really enables any player that has a decent source of emeralds to then get themselves an amazing source of food. When we're looking at overpowered trades, something that often comes to mind is the stick trade. This is where you turn logs into planks, and then you take those planks and you craft them into massive amounts of sticks. Now obviously this trade is certainly not the very best in the game, but I'll show you why a lot of players like it. If you notice here, we're trading 32 sticks into an emerald, which means that with something as easy to obtain as wood, we're getting ourselves a ton of emeralds. Also, because this is a trade that's unlocked the second the villager has its workstation put down, versus let's say something that we have to trade a lot for to actually see if we can unlock it, you can notice here that with a lot of Fletchers around, we can really easily get a lot of emeralds from that. Now of course we do have the issue of this trade's price being raised exponentially if you use it too much, but still you can notice right here, from about 2.5 stacks of logs, we're able to get 41 emeralds, which means that you get about 2 emeralds per small tree that you chop down. I would say probably the most well-known villager trade in the entire game is the Enchanted book trade offered by the Librarian. This is the trade where people will generally get themselves mending books, and of course then a source to infinite mending inside of Minecraft. But this trade is available for almost every single enchantment in the entire game. Of course, these are all offered by the Librarian. Now what you can do if you do not like the book that's being offered by the Librarian and you haven't traded with it yet, because once you've traded with the villager its trades are locked in, is you can break and then replace its workstation. Once it's broken, and of course if we hadn't have traded with this, we could take a look at the trades, break the lectern, place it down again, and just cycle through until we get mending, or whatever other book you want. Some other ones I would definitely suggest is Efficiency 5, Unbreaking 3, Fortune, Silk Touch, Power, and Protection. We're about to continue on to more of the most OP trades in Minecraft, but be sure to comment below what trades do you think are the most OP. Now most things that we buy from villagers are not incredibly unique, but some definitely are, and one of those is from the Cleric. As its final master trade, we have the Bottle of Enchanting for 3 emeralds. Now why is this trade so good? Well, it's one of the only ways in the game to actually store XP and bring it around in an efficient way. And yes, of course, as of Minecraft 1.19, we do have the skulk blocks, but you have to actively place them down, then break them, and they do give you a very small amount of XP. However, something we get with the Bottles of Enchanting is that they can be thrown, or they can be placed down on the ground, and they give us instant XP. They can also be used in dispensers in little patterns, something like this, where let's say you have some things you want to mend, maybe an elytra or some armor, you simply walk through there, it'll dispense that Bottle of Enchanting, and you can continue to walk over there getting XP until you have enough. Stone really is one of the most plentiful, if not the most common item in all of Minecraft. especially once you get a Silk Touch pickaxe and you've been doing a lot of mining and caving. Having massive amounts of stone from, let's say, landscaping mountains or doing mining is really common. And this is where the stone mason comes in. Well, basically it has a trade where it's 20 stone for an emerald, being able to be zombified down into literally only 1 stone for an emerald, but even at these numbers being quite a good deal, we have the ability to convert tons of useless items that we already have a ton of. After all, stone is useful, but you get so much of it, it becomes useless. And then we can convert that into infinite emeralds. This is my all-time favorite villager trade, and I tend to go for a ton of stonemasons to build my villager emerald farming section. As you can see here, stone really does equal emeralds. Now on to a truly overpowered thing we can buy from the weaponsmith, and that is diamond weapons. So we have the ability to buy diamond swords, as well as diamond axes, and some iron tools from the weaponsmith. Now obviously the big thing here is the diamond axe, as well as the diamond sword. These can have decent enchantments on them, nothing ever too crazy, but it does depend on how lucky you are, and the trade limit is 3, so you cannot get an insane amount of these really quickly, but if you trade with the weaponsmith over time, you can get yourself as many swords and axes as you want from this. Another great thing about this trade that some people don't think about is the fact that you can disenchant these, so we can get ourselves a ton of free XP by just buying this trade. Of course you do actually get XP when just trading with villagers, but even more XP is gained by disenchanting these tools. Then we can put these back into the enchantment table, get ourselves whatever enchantments we want on them. Speaking of another tool that we can buy from villagers, that is from the fishermen, we can buy enchanted fishing rods. Now this may seem like a bad deal, but with some zombification this becomes really great. Now of course on this one we only have Unbreaking 2, which isn't that good, but on a lot of these we can actually have some really great enchantments, like let's say Lure or Luck of the Sea, and then we can fish ourselves up items from these enchanted fishing rods. And you might be saying, well, this trade just isn't overpowered, but the thing is that you can get nearly perfect fishing rods from this villager trade. No, they'll never have mending, but you can get some incredibly overpowered rods from this. We can also disenchant these as another valuable source of XP, and if you're using fishing, if you are using fishing rods for the more unconventional uses like moving around mobs and items, the durability on the fishing rod goes down really quickly, and so the ability to burn through fishing rods cannot be overstated. From our villagers deal in food items, and some of the easiest food items to get are pumpkins and melons if you have a decent pumpkin or melon farm. Even a manual pumpkin and melon farm, you can get a lot of these quite simply, and the great thing is that the farmer villager offers us trades for both of these, which I think is really overpowered. The reason why is that the numbers you need of them are quite small, versus let's say 32 sticks or 26 potatoes or a ton of stone. These trades start off with quite low numbers, and so for example if you were to zombify this farmer just one time, we are down to 1 pumpkin for an emerald and 1 melon for an emerald, which gives you a very good source of emeralds, especially since almost every single farmer has both of these trades. We then have a source of 24 emeralds per restock of the farmer. What this means is you don't need very many farmers to get yourself a source of a ton of emeralds. Fletcher villagers are an often overlooked villager type in the game. However, they will sell you enchanted bows as well as enchanted crossbows. And what makes these trades so good is the potential enchantments you can get on them. For example, right here, right off the bat, we have Power 2 and Breaking 2 and Punch 1, which definitely is not the best bow there is, but it's still nice to get those enchantments without the need for an enchanting table. Here at the Fletcher as well, you can notice we also have access to enchanted crossbows, so not only do we not have to craft these items ourselves, we also get them pre-enchanted for us, which makes it much easier from that point onwards to get ourselves a perfect bow. And because enchantments like Unbreaking make the durability of different items be way higher than you would think, for example all those shots right there only took away 3 durability, and that's with just Unbreaking 2. Getting yourself the enchanted crossbows and bows from the Fletchers I think is a very overpowered trade. I always enjoy making large sugarcane farms inside of my Minecraft worlds, as of course not only does it give you a really good source of paper, but also of sugar. However, the thing is that there can definitely come a point where you just don't need that much paper for maps as well as for firework rockets, and that's where the Librarian comes in. The idea would be is that we'll craft with all of our sugarcane a huge amount of paper, and once we have all that paper, then we can go to this Librarian and trade a decently large amount of paper for emeralds. Although it's definitely not the best trade in the game, I would say it's a pretty overpowered way of turning something that's so easy to farm and get in legitimately very large amounts into emeralds. And of course, almost every trade in Minecraft is made better with zombification. This one is certainly no different, putting down the amount of sugarcane we need from 24 down to a much lower number, not really ever reducing it to 0, but definitely reducing it to a much smaller amount. I would say the most used items in all of Minecraft are diamond tools, and that's where the incredibly overpowered trades of the toolsmith come in, because we can buy from the toolsmith enchanted axes, enchanted shovels, as well as enchanted diamond pickaxes. Now, not all toolsmiths will have all tools available. For example, this one right here simply has the axe and the pickaxe, whereas this one has for us the axe, shovel, and pickaxe. But it really is great to have these enchanted tools. Also, of course, we can have certain enchantments that come with them, though they're not always really great. As you can see here, we just have a little bit of efficiency and unbreaking sprinkled throughout here, but you can get things as good as fortune or silk touch on these tools as well. And of course, having a guaranteed source of, let's say, silk touch tools is amazing. What this is also useful for is then you can use tools and work them down all the way and not actually have to worry about adding mending to them or really to make them optimal at all. One of the hardest items to get in Minecraft can certainly be the name tag, but not with the Master Librarian. That's because for its last trade, for a decently large amount of emeralds, you can buy name tags. Now, of course, this can be worked down to be insanely cheap, but no matter what price it is, the ability to buy name tags from villagers is huge and really overpowered. Of course, with these name tags, we can rename them one at a time, or even in a stack for the same price, and of course with that do lots of things like turning our villagers upside down, or even just more normal things like, let's say, naming any pets we have. Of course, these upside down villagers are very strange to deal with, but whether or not your villagers are right side up or upside down, having this villager trade to buy name tags is great. Now, the one thing to be aware of is that this is the last trade that the villager unlocks, and so because of that, you're going to have to do a lot of trading to eventually get to this. Basically, every food item in Minecraft can be composted, but because most of these food items aren't the easiest to get, it's generally not worthwhile to do that. However, there is one villager trade that I think is pretty overpowered that also gives you a good way of getting tons of bone meal, and that is this trade of 3 emeralds for 18 cookies. Obviously 18 cookies is a lot, because with no restocks we can get ourselves 3.5 stacks of cookies from this villager, but as well as that, with these cookies we can convert them directly into bone meal. Now, the conversion is not incredibly amazing, but we can get ourselves a very large amount of bone meal this way. And as well as that, of course, cookies can be used for an emergency food source, and you can even use a hopper to automatically turn these cookies into bone meal. But whatever you decide to do, any trade in my opinion where you're gaining 18 items for 1 emerald is incredibly overpowered. We've covered how to get every single diamond armor, weapon, and tool in Minecraft from villagers except for one, and that's a very rare trade that the toolsmith offers. That is the diamond hoe for emeralds. There's 2 things that makes this trade very unique from the other weapons and armors and tools trades. That's the fact that number 1, it generally goes for a very cheap price, being only a few emeralds, but as well as that, it's always unenchanted. With the other tools and weapons and armor, they always are enchanted, with some sort of decent level enchantment, nothing crazy, but always something considerable. But with this trade, it is 100% always an unenchanted item. Now, obviously the reason for this is up for you to assume. It probably is a legacy from the days before 1.16, when diamond hoes were really useless items, and their only real purpose was tilling the ground. But either way, it is a very phenomenal trade. Books are a quite useful item inside of Minecraft, and bookshelves are no different, and the ability to buy bookshelves from the Librarian villager as one of its initial trades is great. Now, I'll tell you the reason why this trade is so good. It's because because it's one of the only places in the game that you can get bookshelves this easily. Being able to get as many books as you want on demand is really useful. So of course this makes it nice for making yourself a full enchanting setup just like this. We then, with all 15 books there, have the ability to enchant at level 30. But there's a second really big purpose to this also, which is that the enchanted book trades that the librarians sell, for instance this one right here, of emeralds plus a book for infinity, all of them include a book. We need unenchanted books for this, and so by buying these bookshelves and breaking them with our fists, then we can buy from these librarians these books without the need to have a leather farm and a paper farm, found in extremely large amounts inside of the lush caves, but also able to be found in riverbeds and ocean floors. We have clay blocks. Now breaking a block of clay will give you 4 clay balls, and this is really important because it means that by breaking a fairly small number of clay blocks, we're able to get a very large number of clay balls. As for example right here, we already have an entire stack of them. It really is incredibly easy and simple to get yourself tons and tons of this item. But how does this relate to villager trading? Well, it's the fact that the stonemason villager, as a guaranteed first trade of it, is 10 clay balls for an emerald. This is probably the best trade to get yourself emeralds in early game Minecraft. Of course late game it's not perfect, but early game it really is great. And if you do zombify this down, 1 clay ball into 1 emerald could make it more viable late game also. If you have, let's say, a massive lush cave, you need countless arrows in Minecraft to use a bow and arrow, and of course also for dispensers, maybe for some automatic weapons. There's really a massive amount of reasons why you need large numbers of arrows inside the game, and that's where the Fletcher comes in with this insanely incredible 1 emerald for 16 arrows trade. Now to me, being able to get 16 of any items for an emerald is a good deal, but especially considering that these are arrows, something that you might have to work many hours to get the ingredients for normally, having a chicken farm and ability to get sticks and also tons of flint, being able to just simply get yourself stacks upon stacks upon stacks of arrows from the Fletcher makes it the very best trade that this villager has to offer, and one of the best trades that any villager has to offer. After all, to consider that with just a couple Fletchers you could fill up an entire dispenser with arrows, getting yourself literally hundreds upon thousands of arrows in only a couple minutes. Rotten flesh. This item is almost comically known as being one of the most useless in the entire game. Really, its only main purpose is healing tamed wolves. However, there is one very good use of this item which makes this an OP trade. That is 32 rotten flesh being able to be turned into an emerald. Now of course 32 of any item being turned into only 1 item doesn't seem like that good of a conversion, and it's not, but if you consider the fact of automatic zombie farms and mob grinders, getting hundreds upon hundreds of stacks of rotten flesh is something that a lot of players have, and so because of that we can go through all these stacks of rotten flesh and turn them into a decent number of emeralds. For example right here, after a good number of trading, we now have 32 emeralds from all that rotten flesh that we had. And of course we never would have used that rotten flesh at all. Even if we did use it to heal wolves, there's never going to be hundreds of wolves that we need to heal. A lot of players consider the Wandering Trader to be nearly useless, but one of its trades is the exact opposite of useless, that is 5 emeralds for a Nautilus shell. Nautilus shells are not easy items to get in Minecraft. Even with AFK fish farms you get a small number of them, so the ability to buy Nautilus shells from Wandering Traders rarely is great. Now if you're wondering what Wandering Traders Nautilus shells are actually for, I'll tell you. You need 8 Nautilus shells in the heart of the sea to make a rare item known as the Conduit. This item could basically be described as the beacon of the sea. Now this item is a bit of a light source, but its main properties are attacking hostile mobs, giving you underwater breathing, and much more. I discussed this item in more depth in different videos, and it does require Prismarine to turn on, but I would say the most difficult part of getting it is those Nautilus shells. Anyway, those are the 20 most OP villager trades in the entire game in my opinion. But feel free to tell me in the comments below what are your favorite villager trades. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!